Gene, cut the music, cut the music. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the greatest talk show in the world. Wait for it. It's the Big Time Talk Show. And I'm your host, the one and only man like bologna and ham, the man with the beard that brings that big time fear. Wait for it. The man with the stash that talks that big time trash. Here's a little bit more credentials for you. The original trash talker like Colonial Cash Cropper, wait for it. The trash talking ankle breaking leader of hashtag Team Big Time. Big Time Mike, the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena. I could go on, but we have a little bit of a time limit here, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to welcome you again to another great, superfluous, awesome, amazing, big time edition of the greatest talk show in the world. The Big Time Talk Show. And it's great to be here. It's 1:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time in Mobile, Alabama in the 251. And guys, you saw in my last video, I accepted Drew Hood's Mr. Potato Head Invitational Respect Match. And I will be meeting him June 13th, 2015, live from North Kakalaki, Claremont, North Carolina. The BTM is going to the North Kakalaki, the NC. The Big Time Express is going to roll right in. They're going to break Drew Hood's ankle and talk trash while we do it. But ladies and gentlemen, along that trip, we're going to have several updates, so make sure you stay with us the whole time on the Big Time Express. I have a before video, I'm going to have a middle video, we're going to have a when we arrive video, and of course we're going to have the match where I break Drew Hood's ankle and talk trash while I do it. You're going to see the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena, Big Time Mike, the trash talker, the ankle breaker, versus the overrated, sorry piece of trash, Drew I Suck Hood. You will see a wrestler, that's Drew Hood, versus the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena, Big Time Mike. You won't want to miss it, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be live on YouTube. More details will be coming to you soon. But that's the only thing you're going to want to watch is Big Time Mike versus Drew Hood. It's going to be the greatest match on the card because I once again am going to steal the spotlight. I'm going to break Drew Hood's ankle and talk trash while I do it. I'm going to steal that show and talk trash while I do it. When that show is over with, the bell rings, Game 6, the clock hits 0. The only thing you're going to remember is that Big Time Mike is once again the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena. You're not going to remember some black guy with an afro. You're not going to remember some guy who has a fetish with X's. You're not going to remember some guy who has a weird addiction with sauce. You're definitely not going to remember some guy who wears a Punisher t-shirt. You're going to remember the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena, Big Time Mike. Now moving on, we have a very good show for you guys today. We're gonna kind of try and cut down on the length of our shows because I've been getting a few comments back that the shows have been getting too long. Had a little bit of a hiatus. I had some business to take care of. But I'm back, and I'm better than ever because Big Time Mike, the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena, he may leave for a little bit, but he always comes back home to the people who made him, and that's to all you big timers and fans out there who have supported me day in and day out, and even those that have hated on me in the past but have decided to jump on the Big Time Express. I appreciate you. You are the life, the blood, the pulse of Big Time Mike. You bring the fire, the passion that allows me to break ankles, wait for it, and talk trash while I do it. But on to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we have a great show today. And we're going to start off with a few questions I've gotten in the mail, our little email address. Once again, you can send it to michaelmiles019@gmail.com, all in lowercase, if you want your question on the Big Time Talk Show. I know you guys have questions, comments. If you want to request to be on the Big Time Talk Show, here's what you do. You go, locate me at @KBW_Big Time in all capital letters. You direct message me. If I think you're up to the challenge to be on my talk show, I will put you on. I am willing to give you a chance. But I digress. Going to the emails. Our first one comes from no, it's not Evan Starr. Our first question Our first question today comes from Nancy Stewart. Nancy Stewart asks Big Time, what are you doing to prepare for your match against Drew Hood at the annual BYW event that no one has a name for? And also, what is the name of this annual event? Thanks. Well, Nancy, I can't give you the name of this event, but I can tell you one thing. Big Time Mike, that's me, has been training day in and day out. I've been hitting the weights like always. Been upping my cardio. Been upping my intake. I've been trying to get bigger, faster, stronger. BFS, ladies and gentlemen. BFS equals BTM. Yes, people, I'm training like an athlete, not like a bodybuilder. I am training to destroy Drew Hood. I am training to break Drew Hood's ankle and talk trash while I do it. I'm training to drop an elbow, throw a suplex, lock into BTA, and say, "It's big time, baby!" That's what I'm training for. I'm not training to look good. I'm training to be good. I'm training to be big time, baby! But as for your other question, Nancy, I don't know what the name of this event's going to be. I'm just going to call it BYW Extravaganza. That's going to be the name of the event. BYW Extravaganza. Thanks, Nancy. A shout-out goes to Nancy. You didn't say where she's from. Guys, when you send in a question, at least tell me where you're from so I can give you a little hometown a shout-out. Good God Almighty. Nancy, you're going to send a question to the Big Time Talk Show, then you're not even going to say where you're from. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And Nancy, you might just won yourself the Big Time Loser of the Day award doing some crap like that. Piece of trash. Alright. Good God Almighty, all these daggum advertisements. Our next question comes from John. Just John. Well, looks like Just Doug has competition because now we have Just John. Just John says Big Time. Where did you come up with the move, the BTA? What does it stand for? And why do you choose to use a submission instead of a regular move to count the pin? Thanks. Well, John, the BTA stands for the Big Time Ankle Lock, if you didn't know, or break that ankle, whichever one you prefer. I use both. But the reason I use the BTA is if you don't have any legs, you can't go. If you don't have any feet, you can't run. And if you got a broke ankle and someone's talking trash while they do it, it just adds insult to injury. The BTA is a deadly submission hold, and there's only one man in sports entertainment, in pro wrestling today, that can do the BTA. Not Joseph Everhart, not J.C. Brown, not Kurt Angle, not anybody in between, but Big Time Mike. Big Time Mike is the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena. I lock in the BTA and talk trash while I do it. I drop an elbow and talk trash while I do it. I take a piss and talk trash while I do it. The BTA is simply the most deadly finishing maneuver in the world today, and the most deadly finishing maneuver must go to the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena, Big Time Mike, the greatest man to ever grace God's green earth, the man with the beard that brings that big time fear, the man without the fro that drops in big time elbows, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So that's why I have the BTA as my finisher, and not some stupid DDT, or for good God's sake, a package pile driver. Really? A package pile driver. My grandmother can do a package pile driver. Well, I guess that's the same reason why Drew Hood does it, because he has the body shape of a 75-year-old woman. I digress. Jesus Christ. Hashtag Drew has the body of a 75-year-old woman. Jesus Christ. Thanks once again, John. I'm going to add two more questions here because we have a few, but some of them are just repeat questions, and I don't want to bore you fans with repetitive questions because repetitive questions need to have their ankle broken and trash talked while I do it. Here we go. Our third question comes from Matthew. Matthew says he's from Clearwater, Florida. Matthew asks, Big Time. He's asking, what am I doing to prepare for the annual matchup with Drew Hood? And what are your plans for after your matchup with Drew Hood? So Matthew asks, what are my plans after I break Drew Hood's ankle and talk trash while I do it? Well, Matthew, I'm glad you asked that. Because after I finish with Drew Hood, I've got a little trip I've got to make, which will be revealed later. But I promise you, after I defeat Drew Hood, after I break his ankle and talk trash while I do it, there's a lot more left for Big Time Mike and BYW. Yes, I don't have a long time, but I got a little bit more time left. And after I defeat Drew Hood, it will not be the end of Big Time Mike. Big Time Mike still has a few more things he's got left to do. Finally, our last question. Okay, our last question comes from Steven. Steven is from Lincoln, Nebraska. Well, that's nice, Steven. You know Abe Lincoln? Obviously you don't. Abe Lincoln was born in the Actually, he wasn't born. He lived in the 1800s, you idiot. Of course you don't know who Abe Lincoln is, you piece of trash. Jesus Christ. That's where people don't have any common sense. You're going to live in Lincoln, Nebraska, then I'm going to ask you if you know Abe Lincoln. You live with him. You go, oh, yeah. Of course you don't know Abe Lincoln. He lived in the 1800s. You may know him from your history book, but you dang sure don't know him personally. What? Did you walk across the street and hand him a penny and say, here, Abe, you can just keep the change? What did Oscar say? No, Abe, you keep the money. Abe would have been like, no, Oscar, you can have your change back. Then Oscar would have said, no, Abe, you keep the money. You know what? If Oscar tells me to keep the money one more time, I'm going to break his ankle and talk trash while I do it. This is just aggravating. You done tell me you live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and you're going to say you know Lincoln, Abe Lincoln, just personally? You know when you guys go out for a beer or something? You guys go drink like a koozie, a beer, a Diet Coke, a Dr. Pepper, a Sprite, a water. What do you go drink? What is it, a brandy? You piece of trash. Anyway, Stephen was going to ask me before he had his stupid comment about Abraham Lincoln. Big Time. He was going to ask, Big Time, why is your song called Big Time? Why did you change your song to some wannabe Rocky Maivia song? Well, let me tell you something, Steven. You piece of even, Steven. You're odd, Steven's what you are. You're going to be odd after I break that ankle and talk trash while I do it. You're going to be limping on one leg just like Drew Hood. Let me tell you something. Big Time by Peter Gabriel was one of the greatest theme songs in the world today. But, wait for it, by Cameron Jackson, with my vocals added, is the greatest theme song in the world today. It just adds that extra umph when you hear, wait for it, wait for it. When you got to know what time it is and you hear that, it's always, wait for it, and you hear what time it is, it really gets you amped. I know it does because it gets me pumped up. And I can't wait for it to go off. And Drew Hood standing in that ring. He looks up that ramp and he sees his demise looking him right in his eyes, ladies and gentlemen. So, Steven, you want to ask why I use Wait For It? It's because it's the greatest theme song in the world today. Finally, we're going to move to what I like to call my favorite segment of the show, the Big Time Loser of the Mother Freaking Day Award. Now, as you know before, there are many past winners. There's Cage, AK-47, Seth Maverick, Everett Creed. Who else? Adrenaline. Joe Cool has even won it a couple times. Cage is probably the most renowned Big Time Loser of the Day award winner because he's won it at least 5 times. Mr. O2. So, today's nominees are Anonymous has even won it. So, anybody can be that. Cameron Jackson could probably win the Big Time Loser of the Day award. It's very unlikely, but it could happen. Corey Graves could win it. Ecstatic for his fetishes with exes could win it. Avery Hope, for God's sakes, could win it. What's he, like 75? Jesus Christ. Anybody can win the Big Time Loser of the Day award except for yours truly, because then it would not be the Big Time Loser of the Day award. It would be the Big Time Winner of the Day award. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the nominees are as follows. First and foremost, we have Anonymous for putting his brand new video out on his new hit list that nobody knows about but he. What's the point of a hit list if nobody knows about it? What is the point, Anonymous? What, obviously you put Drew Hood on there. Obviously, we all know that. I mean, Jesus Christ, he finds a picture of you every time he turns the daggum camera on. I'm sure he pulls open his underwear drawer, changes drawers in the morning, and look, there's Anonymous right there. He goes in his fridge to go get a glass of milk or a glass of whatever he gets, And he sees Anonymous right there. So Anonymous, I don't doubt, I'm not wronging you for messing with Drew Hood, because messing with Drew Hood is fun. I get it. He's a potato. He's shaped like a potato, shaped like a 75-year-old woman. He has the personality of a dead squirrel. I get it. I know. He's probably got the IQ of that board laying out there across the hickory patch. I get it. I know. But if you're going to make a hit list, why don't you just tell people who it is? Why don't you be a man up and say, hey, man, I don't like you. I'm going to beat your tail. What's the point? See, if I don't like someone, I'm going to say, hey, dude, I'm going to break your ankle and talk trash while I do it. Is that not, is that not fair? I did it to you. I did it to Mr. O, Cage, AK-47, everybody in between. Everybody in between's had their ankle broken and trash talk while I did it. Anyway, I digress. So, Anonymous is the first. Secondly, we have Diablo. Diablo, let me tell you something, son. I don't know what you got going on or what you do, but purple is not your color, okay? So if I ever catch you wearing purple again, I'm gonna make sure I call the people who are responsible for putting these little messing with YouTube, because that's not for regular eyes to see. There are children that watch this show, and you're showing all that. You should be ashamed of yourself. So you have considered yourself a nominee. Jesus Christ. Next up, our third, not our final, but our third nominee for the Big Time Loser of the Day award is the one and only, wait for it, Everett Creed. Everett Creed. Everett Creed, the self-supremacy. Apparently, he's got a problem with some other guy that I guess his name, I don't even know what his name is. Is his name Tyler? Tyler Storm? I have no idea. He's messing with somebody, and he thinks, the part, it's not even the fact that he wants to mess with Tyler, whatever his name is. It's the fact that he says that he is the king on this whole chessboard of BYW. As a matter of fact, he doesn't own me. He hasn't moved me around. If anything, I broke his ankle and talked trash while I did it on my talk show. I ripped him one and spit him out the other way when he's on his own show, for God's sakes. So what we're going to do? Everett Creed, you're a nominee for the Big Time Loser of the Day award. And finally, the fourth and final. This man goes by many names. Mr. Potato Head, the 75-year-old woman, the overrated one, the piece of trash, the monkey grabber, the apple eater, the banana stuffer, and finally, the guy that sucks really bad. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Drew I Suck Hood. Mr. Potato Head, the sorry piece of trash that called me out on his DH and HD. The guy that was too much of a baby that he couldn't accept the fact that Big Time Mike is greater than DH and HD. DH and HD is not good, Drew Hood. Drew Hood, you tried to play my game and you lost. I told you, I'm the juggernaut of entertainment. I'm the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena. I'm the man with the beard that brings that big time fear. I am the original trash talker like a colonial cash cropper, Drew Hood. You cannot play my game. And when you try and play my game, you lose every single time. Any way you twist it or turn it, you lose every single time. There is no game 2, 3, or 4, or 5. You lose number 1. It's a shutout. It's a walk-off home run. You cannot win at my game. Just like you won't win June 13th, 2015. You can't. Whichever way you try and derive it, whatever you try and do, you cannot beat me. I am the total package, Drew Hood. You are just simply a wrestler. I am the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena. I am Big Time Mike. My legacy precedes yours. My legacy overtakes yours. My name overtakes your entire body of work, Drew Hood. My name is worth more than your life. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't figured it out yet, Drew Hood has once again won the Big Time Loser of the Day award. Drew Hood, I want you to look at me and look at me good. This is not a Big Time versus Drew Hood thing anymore. This is a man versus a boy. You are a boy, Drew Hood. You may think just because you were screwed in CCW and went to VTW and everybody's kissing your tail that you're all high and mighty. Drew Hood, You're not worth a hill of beans, son. And I hope that the realization comes into your mind when I'm locking in that BTA and I break that ankle and talk trash while I do it. While you're lying on the mat looking up after your ankle's been broken, I'm standing over you with my hand held high and I proclaim with everybody in the entire arena, and you hear simultaneously that it is officially big time, baby! When you hear that, I hope it brings a tear to your eye, Drew Hood. I hope that you see that you don't mess with the man. Drew Hood, when it comes to entertainment and being the measuring stick in this business, it doesn't matter that you've been here longer than me. It doesn't matter that you've won more titles than me. All that matters is that the proof is in the pudding. And Drew Hood, like I said before, my name is worth more than your life, your body of work, and anything you could ever hope or dream for. Drew Hood, I'm telling you this, and I'm telling you this right now. Come June 13, 2015, you want Big Time Mike, the greatest sports entertainer to ever enter an arena. You want the original trash talker like a colonial cash cropper. You want the trash talker. You want the ankle breaker. You're going to get all of the above, because it's not going to matter what day it is, what time, or what's on the line. June 13, 2015, I will deliver. Oh, trust me, I will deliver. And it will be, wait for it. Wait for it. Big Time, baby.